I come from a family business that's done over $100 million in revenue in the past 77 years, and less than 1% of businesses last 3/4 of a century. That's where I learned business, but sales is a different story. As a high-ticket closer, I've generated over $600,000 for another business, offers ranging from $3,500 to $30,000. This is Will, and I'm advising him on scaling his business to $25,000 a month. And in this video, we're going to review one of his real sales calls. Not good job or bad job. I'm going to break it down frame by frame. What questions he asked right, where he loses momentum, and where the close is right there, but he didn't take it. Will's business works exclusively with accounting firms. He builds meta ad campaigns, landing pages, and funnels to help those accounting firms bring more leads and clients into their business. He's a paid ad specialist, and he's already got nearly 30 accounting firms on his roster. And right now, his business is at an inflection point. Will's launching a new ad campaign this week. Fresh leads are about to start hitting his calendar, and the difference between closing those leads and losing them comes down to one thing: what's going to happen on the call. What I'm about to show you is a real sales call from Will's pipeline. Real prospects, real accounting firms. And we're going to break down exactly what Will did right and what he needs to change before those new leads come in. If you're running an online business or doing sales through Zoom calls, this applies directly to you. Let's get into it. All right, I like the blurred background. He looks professional, nice shirt on. One thing to note, he does look a little tired, a little red around the eyes. One thing I like to tell people, anybody that's under 35 years old, wearing glasses on your sales calls actually helps out tremendously. For some reason, psychologically, people just take you more professionally if you wear glasses. I never did, but it's a tactic that does work.
I can't hear you at the moment.
That's because I wasn't talking.
Oh, Alex. Sorry, you said you joined and it was just a blank screen.
Good start.
See you.
No,
Even if you screw up or something, or just make them laugh, good start.
no worries, no worries. I think one of my colleagues is going to join us as well. He might just be a couple of minutes if you don't mind.
Yeah, no worries. Does he have an invite or
I just pinged him the same invite. I hope that's all right.
Okay. Yeah, I think I should just be able to admit him then. Is it a marketing person that you've got already?
Yes,
or
yes.
Okay.
But internal though, internal.
Internal. Okay.
So one thing, I've already talked to Will about this on our coaching calls. I like to always make sure all decision makers are on the call before the call even starts. I like to text message the person that I'm contacting with or get their phone number. I like to have a direct communication with them. Sometimes I'll even call them like an hour or two before just to do a quick confirm, like, hey, just confirming our call in 2 hours. And real quick, are all the decision makers going to be in the room for us to move forward? And then you go from there. But you always want to make sure that you know who's going to be on the call, what their roles are, and what they do. And he's learning that as we go through the call, but I like to get that stuff ready and locked in before the call even starts. I do not take sales calls if the decision makers are not on the call. If somebody had something come up, or if they're going to be busy, or if they're going to be a meeting. I have had calls start and then the founder, the CEO, or whoever I'm talking to is like, oh yeah, so-and-so was supposed to be on the call, but he's actually caught up in a meeting right now. You can just talk to me. And I prefer to have all the decision makers. It's more efficient for both of us. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time. You know, what's going to happen here is we're going to go through this presentation and then I'm going to have to repeat myself in another call. And I don't like other people. Usually I cut it off right there and I just say that and stop and let them respond. But if I want to go deeper, I'll say something like, you know, I prefer to show what I do to everybody else. I don't want you to try to explain to somebody what I do. I'm pretty good at that. So let's just reschedule for a time, or is he going to be free in 30 minutes? So there's different ways around that, but do not start calls ever without all the decision makers on the call.
Okay. How big's the team at the moment? Because I had a look at your website and your social media is pretty active. You guys growing a lot at the moment?
Yeah, good question.
So that needs to be an intake form question. We need to know what the size is of the team before they come in. That needs to be saved into a database, and that gives you qualification. So you get a database, a huge roster of people that apply to your services. Well, you can filter through those services or that roster, that sheet, and see which ones are the most qualified. So we've identified in other calls that Will needs to target accounting firms that are at least over 10 accountants and they have a sales rep. I'm sure you've ran into this where you might be doing businesses or services with a company or a small team, and in this case, we're doing paid ad systems for a company, which means leads are coming into the company, and that company needs to know how to process leads. You get into a very uncomfortable situation where you do a bunch of work, in this case for Will, you do a bunch of work for an accountant, and then you have a conversation with them, and it's like, how are the leads going? And he's like, oh yeah, I saw a few come in, but I text them like a couple days later and they didn't respond. The leads aren't that good. Like, no, the leads are good. You're just not trained in sales and don't understand that you need to immediately contact a lead when it hits the pipeline. Like, you literally need to have a text message sent to your phone when a lead comes in, and you need to call that lead or contact that lead personally immediately within seconds. If you've ever contacted me on Instagram, you might notice that I respond very quickly and I send voice notes. And it's not automate. Well, I do have automations for like lead magnets, but I'm usually sending a voice note and it is me, and I'm immediately having a conversation with whatever lead comes through my pipeline in business. But I've been doing sales for a very long time. So that question needs to be a qualifying question. There's a lot of qualifying questions that we've identified that need to be asked before jumping on a sales call, so that Will can maximize the quality of the lead and the potential chance of closing the lead and converting them into a paid client. So qualification and the questions you ask before the call even starts is very important.
12 people.
Okay.
So not tiny, but not massive either.
This also saves time on the call too. So you can shorten the time on your sales calls because you don't have to go through these questions in the sales call, which then increases your processing time, which increases or decreases your burden or your overhead or your labor or your commission if you're selling, if you're doing commission on like a sales team. So anything you can get on the front end of a marketing system so that it's not having to be covered in the sales process is great, because salespeople are expensive. They, comps run from 10 to 15% per sale per close. So if you're selling a $10,000 offer, your sales guy is going to take $2,000 for every close. If you got sales guys on calls for an hour and a half, you can only process so many leads before they get burnt out and fried from doing their sales calls a day. I know that from experience. So if you can reduce their sales calls down to like 45 minutes, 30 minutes, they can double their output per day. They're still going to get comped, but you're going to have more revenue overall.
Want to get a bit bigger.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do have a kind of external company doing our social medias.
Okay.
Right, okay.
So we did.
Okay.
Yeah. So good intelligence gathering. We always want to know past experiences. In this case, he does paid ads. Have you ever paid somebody for paid ads? Then we got to get into what's that experience been like for you. Most marketing agencies are not good, and most marketing agencies burn people, and there's a bad taste in people's mouth usually, unless they wouldn't be on this call if the marketing agency was doing well. And that's actually a great little like juxtapose you can do, is like, well, yeah, this is funny humor when you're in the sales call. It's like, well, let me guess, you're talking to me because they're not doing a good job. And it just breaks and diffuses that stress and that, you can see his body language. He's got his arms crossed. He's not open. His body language is not open right now. And sales, getting really fine-tuned in reading body language is really important. I try to pay attention to facial expressions. When I'm on a sales call, I'm locked in and I'm focusing on everything that their body is telling me, because it can tell you a lot. The body keeps the score, or not the body keeps the score. What Everybody Is Saying, FBI agent book, great book to read on body language.
I think this is Richard just joining us now.
Oh, Richard.
So I'd be shooting the shit. I'd be doing rapport building and just asking like, how long's you been doing this business? How'd you get into accounting? You probably went to college. Just learning about the founder, especially. This guy's the owner, and relationships. Business is relationships. I'm sure you've heard of LTV, lifetime customer value. People love to mechanically put equations into business, and yeah, that stuff is important, and you do need to know the mathematics and mechanics of business. But the reason my family's business has done $100 million in revenue is because we have customers literally from the 1950s and 60s. Guess how much money you make with a relationship that you keep for 60 years of your life. My father's been doing the family business for 60 years. He literally has customers from like his first 10 years. I have no idea how much money he's made from those customers that still exist. A lot of them went out of business over the years, but the ones that do continue, it's relationships. It's getting to know the person you're talking to. You got to do a good service and do good work. But when somebody likes you and they want to do business with you for the rest of your life, which is what I teach and how I try to train everybody that I coach, you make so much more money than just having a commoditized service business where you're just doing services and you're just doing your work and you have no relationship with your customers. And then as soon as somebody comes in that can possibly compete with you, they get a quote and then they try them out and then you get a churn customer because you haven't built a relationship. Like there's no connection there.
Yourself that booked the call?
It was me, yeah.
And what was the main reason? Would you say anything stuck out?
We already know the reason. They already have somebody handling marketing. You can see his body language before he even. That's a pretty good tell. That's a pretty good tell that. Let me fucking tell you what's been going on. We already know. We don't need to ask a rhetorical question. You booked the call because the other firm is not doing a good job, or we wouldn't be talking.
Actually, in particular, or
so I think it's definitely related to your video, definitely, in relation to kind of feeling overwhelmed. I can't remember exactly the words you used, but not a consistent flow of clients, clients perhaps you don't always want to work with, et cetera, et cetera. I can't remember it exactly, but I remember watching it and going,
Clients you don't want to work with, I would be writing that down. That's a tell point. So that's a very specific problem with a very specific solution. The reason they're getting bad leads or they're getting unqualified leads is the technical term. It's because they're not disqualifying leads in their pipeline because the marketing agency that's running their marketing is not good at marketing and doesn't understand lead flow and quality flow. And more than likely, this is advice for anybody that ever hires a marketer or marketing agency. Ask them if they've done sales. That's a really good question to qualify when you're evaluating a marketer. Hey, so you do marketing. Okay, you've been doing these business stuff. Cool. All right. Have you ever done sales? Do you know the pain of sales? Do you know the pain of what happens after you generate the lead? Because if a marketer knows that pain, they're going to be a better marketer because they do not want to deal with that. Case in point, like I'm speaking directly from experience.
Know what? He knows something.
Okay.
So that's what kind of enticed me to book the call.
I like the uniforms.
But I think
so. I immediately look at the photos and stuff. Sometimes I like to so I'm reading the background. It looks like he's got a Michael Jackson picture there. This dude's into music. He's got some paintings of an old lady. He's got some other music album stuff going on. So this dude's a music guy. He might play an instrument. I'd be asking him a little bit. I'd just build rapport, and then I would go into a story. I was like, oh yeah, my dad actually, he's like 70 years old and he fucking has a garage band. He goes to work and runs a business and then he runs a foundry. It's a family business. And then at 1 p.m. he goes over to his garage with his friends and he plays guitar and they make music and stuff. And you just like small little stories like that is how you build the relationship and the connection. And then every time you hop on there, you can, talk to him more about it. Be like, so do you like play in a band or do you go locally? Do you play at any local places? And it's really good. It's really good, especially we're only 2.5 minutes into the call. But we could have avoided we kind of know his pain points. We could have, gotten to that quicker, saved some time, got into some more rapport.
Can you hear? Gonna say no.
Richard, can you hear us?
Gonna say no.
While he's fixing that, I'd be talking to Blaine. I just, he'll figure it out. Or, joke with Blaine. I'm assuming they're back in the same office.
We'll carry on.
And be like, get the young guy to go in there and fix it.
When he's able.
Okay, that's no problem. So you're at a point where you got 12 staff,
Yeah.
marketing person internally and external company as well. So
Yeah.
established systems working well.
I mean, so we do about we onboard on average 2 clients a month.
Two,
Okay.
two clients a month. Let me get my notepad.
Which is good, but I think we'd like to get it to 4.
So
Okay.
4 clients a month.
Where we're at least 4.
Okay. And how many of those 2 are normally referrals?
Good question.
So
Really good question.
Definitely we are heavily sort of referral led.
Oh,
There's no kind of doubt about that.
so I perk up anytime I hear that. That's a major issue. So I'm digging into that pain. I'm digging hard into that pain. So what's that like? You not being able to control your business and not being able to control the growth of your revenue. What's it like? Basically relying on other people to grow your business. I put it very bluntly, and I can get into education if I want to on like why that's a really bad situation to be in. It's a terrible situation to be in when economies roll over, recessions. I also ask how long you've been in business. Have you ever been through a recession? Referral-based companies go out of business very quickly in recessions because they have no lever mechanisms or systems to get new clients if clients drop or churn, or if they don't drop their rates quickly enough. If they have a big enough book of business, I mean, these are accountants, so they're probably really good with their money. So it's probably less of an issue for an accountant, but it's still a pain point regardless of whatever business it is.
We don't these days get a lot of inquiries through social media, albeit we do have the guys posting on there quite regularly. There was a time initially, like when TikTok started, we had quite a lot of viral videos and we got a lot of kind of clients through there in the sort of earlier days, which was good.
Okay, I want to know whose people. He's being vague. I want specifics. He had guys posting on social media. What guys? Who in the accounting firm, paid affiliate or marketing agency you're paying? Who was doing that posting? Why'd you drop that channel?
But then I don't know what it was. The algorithms just changed or whatever. We just couldn't get them to. We had I remember at one point we had sort of 200,000 plus views on videos, and then it got to a point where the same video, similar content, we're struggling to get past, a couple.
Okay, I'd be looking at that content right now in the call and be like, oh, is the TikTok still up? What's the handle? Can you send me a link real quick in the chat? I want to check out the videos and see what they're like. Obviously you guys have experience in content, so here's a great. You can close the deal right now. You can close the deal with this information. So it's like, if a business has not experienced a channel before, they're hesitant. They have this belief that like it's not going to work for them. Like it works for other people, it doesn't work for me. But when they give you they give you a piece of information that's like, we've done social media and it has worked before, and then it stopped working, and we just don't know because we don't know enough about marketing and sales or doing that stuff, and that's why you're the expert, and that's why we're talking to you. So when they have experience of success in the thing that you do, even if it's adjacent, this is organic content, not paid, it's like, oh, well, let me take a look at your organic content. You guys already know that marketing works and you've done marketing. Let me see if we can probably retrofit your old content and see if we can build something off of that. And then I'd watch the video on the call and I'd let them hear it through the microphone. Like, yeah, this is actually really good. I can see why you got leads from this stuff. So this works. It's just the script is written for organic content. So there's some nuances and some differences to paid ads, but what you got here, I'm pretty sure would work in paid ads if we just changed a few things. So you stop there. Don't explain what you change. So bad mistake that a lot of salespeople make, or business owners, people that are not trained in sales, is they like what they do, so they get into their techno babble and they're like, oh, well, yeah, you got to start doing identity words and fillers, and you got to move the hook to the front, and then you got to do you have to do a pattern interrupt and yada yada yada, and then you get into like the nerdy tech talk that you really love because you're the person that really enjoys what you do. And this accountants will do the same thing. They'll start getting like really excited as to like P&L and books and your profit and loss margins and your income statements and this is your LTV and your CAC and yada, yada, yada. And then they start talking over people's heads. This person's an accountant. They're not a marketer. They don't give a shit about marketing technology or terms or how it works. They're hiring you to do the service so that they don't have to learn it. Don't go into educational mode. Don't ever go into educational mode in a sales call. I am speaking from a tremendous amount of pain in my first year of sales, where I was all technical, all telling people how things worked, and I just overloaded them and confused them and didn't focus on their pain points and their problems and helping them with their problems, because I was trying to stroke my ego by sounding smart and intelligent about this is what I know and yada, yada, yada. Don't do that. So you stop once you like lay the bread down to see what they're doing.
1,000. So that was good while it was working, but then all of a sudden it stopped working.
Yeah.
So
do you know why it stopped working? Do you know why it stopped working? They don't, because if they did, they would fix it and they would make it work. That's why we're talking, because I'm the specialist. I know what to do here.
So that was good. But, and Richard as well, both quite natural.
Connected to DSKTOP7RK8N59.
Can you hear us now, Richard?
So I'd real quick here, like, hey, are you guys in an office? It looks like you're in like a boardroom or something. Can you send somebody into his office to get it rolling for us so we can get going? Because we're 5 minutes in now and we're still not in, the decision makers are not here having a conversation. At this point, I would stop and, get this lined out.
I think you can hear.
I can hear now.
Okay, we're good.
Good stuff.
So I take control, Will. You got to take control. So you are leading this conversation. You're the leader. Richard, you're going to have to mute your mic. It sounds like there's an echo. When you want to talk, just hit the unmute button. It'll be down there. It'll be a little microphone. Just click it, and then it turns off. All right, cool. You're not echoing. If you need to ask a question or talk about stuff, just unmute yourself. So take control. Don't let them. So right now, energetically, the dynamic, the framing of the sales call is Blaine is kind of leading a little bit. I mean, you're asking questions, which is good. You're kind of keeping the lead, but this is a fall off point on taking lead.
Maybe put yourself on mute.
Yeah.
Yep. So now he's taking lead. Blaine's taking lead. That's not good.
Go on. Carry on, Blaine. Carry on.
So I've lost my train of thought. So
TikTok was working well for a while.
Yeah, sorry, TikTok was working well for a while, but it's kind of died off, and it was also quite intensive on my time. I had to sit in front of the camera a lot, get things edited, get it all uploaded. It was quite time consuming.
Right.
I am quite a natural networker, and so is Richard. So we talk to people a lot, and we find we get a lot of work kind of just through bumping into people and just literally speaking to them.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't offer it as a service, but that tell right there is like the editing, the workload and the editing and the labor is pretty overwhelming. But I mean, Will's got editors he can hire for $4 an hour to do content and stuff. The only thing he has to do is the creative script writing and shooting the videos. So I wouldn't sell it. I wouldn't put it as an offer necessarily, but I would collect the information here. That's like, oh, well, if you didn't have to do all the editing and the back end stuff and the posting and the scheduling and all that stuff, do you think it'd be worth it for you to have content rolling out organically? Do you like the script writing and the shooting stuff? And I just gauge his energetics there. Okay, well, that's good to know. We might be able to do something there, but I want to continue with our questions.
So that and referrals is kind of our lead, our main source of revenue. And as I say, it over the sort of last, however long, we've sort of consistently done 2 clients a month. For some time, which has been pretty good for us. But at the end of the day,
Connection issue. Damn, that was some good information that he was about to give.
Frozen there.
Yeah, God, you just froze as well. Are you? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So Richard's engaged. He's leaning forward. He's watching. He's more engaged in the conversation than the CEO. I think his arms are still crossed. He looks a little more relaxed now, but still not open.
Some technical difficulties, aren't we?
What did you? Where did you get to, mate?
So you were saying,
Yeah, so that's another lead loss. So Blaine's leading the conversation now. This is not good. Will, you should have. So whenever a connection gets cut off, I remember exactly the last words that they say, and I just wait for them to come back and be like, "Hey, you got cut off. Last thing I heard was you were getting referrals, but they weren't something."
saying that you and Richard get a lot of your leads through networking, and that.
So it's these small things here. Like he's still doing it, but the way in which it's executed, Blaine leading the conversation instead of Will, changes the dynamic in the sales call.
Works well for you.
Yeah.
I'm interested now though. So you say you've got an internal marketing person and an outside agency as well.
Okay, so another issue I'm seeing here is we're not digging into the pains. We're doing surface level 1-question pains. You got to ask 3 minimum, 5 to 7 ideally questions into each pain point. So the pain points we know right now: bad leads coming in, overwhelming with video editing and content creation. TikTok was working but not working. I didn't even write that one down. TikTok was working. So I want to know more. Like I want them getting back in deeper into their own pain. So what's bad about those leads? What was happening on the sales call? Were you doing the sales call? Was somebody else doing the sales call? Is this, is the pain personal to Blaine? Talking to those bad leads, that's going to be a much better sell than he has a salesperson doing it. And he's disconnected from the pain, but it's still like a revenue hit and stuff, and he's wasting money. I mean, it's still pain, but it's not direct. TikTok, what did you like about TikTok and what did you not like about it? Guys, posting your content, and then the referrals.
So are they not driving any leads at the moment, or?
So Richard is when I say he's marketing and sales. So he kind of handles, and broadly the two come from, our internal resource. As I say, the external marketing people, they do a great job of keeping our social medias active and looking like we're,
alive,
involved in what we're posting and so on, but it doesn't generate a lot of leads. So the sort of couple of leads that come to, or that we get more than 2 leads, but the 2 clients that we convert every month come from our sort of internal efforts broadly.
Okay, I want to know how many actual referrals come through, what their close rate are. Referrals should be very high close rates because the trust is extremely high. If the referral system is done correctly, they can be trained on sales to probably improve referral processes. Actually, my first gig in sales for a year was referrals. It was a life insurance company or life insurance policies. But very first question I'm going to ask Richard before anything is, what is your sales experience? I wouldn't say it like that. I would, how long you been doing sales, Richard? Okay. So you've worked in teams and you did sales. I would want to know, have you done sales in the past? Because people can call themselves a sales and marketing lead, but really they just got the position because they're kind of good at marketing or they're kind of good at posting an organization, but they actually have no sales experience trained professionally. They haven't worked in a team. There's a huge difference between somebody who has got, in his case, 20 years of sales experience versus somebody who just kind of put on the tag because they need somebody to put on the tag in the business. So that's the very first information I want to get from Richard before we get into anything.
Right. Okay. And would you say that the leads that come in through the social media generally aren't qualified, or they're not quite the right people?
Yeah, they're not qualified. We're asking questions that have already been answered through information. They're not qualified because if they were, they'd be working or converting, and he's already given tells that that's one of the issues.
I'm not sure that we really get any to really comment on, to be fair. It's as I say, when TikTok was good, we got a lot of good clients out of it, but broadly, we get bugger all, quite frankly, through social media at the moment.
Right, right. And
Okay.
what sort of strategy are you using on social media? Have you worked on strategy with the external agency? Do they have a process that they use, or?
I think
I don't know if I would ask that. I think I see where this is going. Will is going to flex his knowledge. That's a question that's loaded for, I mean, it can be used as an evaluation, but I would just grab the TikTok account and look at the TikTok videos that they did do that have a positive experience and a positive emotion, not evaluating the bad stuff. I don't like to look at bad things going on wrong in a business and rip it down, because it's just kind of unprofessional. And especially, you don't want to ever, I don't think that Will's going to do this, but you don't take shots at your competitors. It just doesn't look good in business and in sales. I try to focus on the positive.
I mean, perhaps it's something we need to dedicate a bit more time to. Before, I used to just do short form videos, found that worked really well. But then all of a sudden it stopped working.
I want to see those short forms.
I think, perhaps we could kind of review our strategy again. I think it's something that we could do, but perhaps isn't something we've actually sat and considered.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that is something that
I would challenge him on that. So he's kind of not selling himself. He's shutting down. So that line right there is him. We haven't really sat down and thought about it. I'm like, well, why are we on this call? That's my first question. Is like, clearly you have thought about it, because we're talking right now. You guys have had at least a conversation about this. You have thought about it, or else we wouldn't be talking.
we do. And generally when we start working with someone, we do work on strategy together. And it's mostly around looking at what opportunities there are in the market that are around you. So what businesses are growing, what size clients do you want to work with, what's your ideal profile for the people that you help, and then trying to position your marketing around them.
So we're getting into explanation and techno babble, and you can see he's not even engaged. He's looking at his phone right now. Richard is disengaged. He's pulled back a little bit. He's not up on the computer like he was. This is a big disconnect. You don't explain what you do, which sounds weird if you're new into sales. But the focus of a sales call is to find out all of the pain and the issues in what they're doing. And if you do get into explanation, it comes at the very end. So like my sales calls are like 80% just asking them questions, learning about them, learning what their business is, and evaluating if I can help them. It's a value. You need to know information that lets you know, oh, I can help this person, and then they would benefit from it. And then I have 10% of the call is basically, if I even do it, is just like, yeah, this is what we do. This is the service. I know we can help. I know I can help you with what your issue is. And then I go through the list, because this is why it's important to write them all down. It's like, so blah, blah, blah. You have bad leads coming in. The reason that is they're not qualifying the leads. Like there's no actual clean system in the front end marketing to make sure that you're getting book calls with people that will actually pay you. There's different ways around fixing that in creative, but I don't get into the explanation of how it works. I'm just reciting the pains back to them. So your TikTok was working. So you do have good experience with content. You know that social media marketing works. It just stopped working, and we can look at that and figure out why. And we can probably convert over some of the stuff that you were doing on TikTok into an actual paid ad system, because creative writing and creative process, it's just different, but it's still the same. Referrals, that's a major issue. That's a major issue in your business, because if you're relying on referrals, you're basically relying on other people to build your business. And that works in good times, but during recessions, you're going to get hit really hard, and you're going to probably have no leads coming in. And that's a very dangerous place for a business to be, especially when economies crunch. Fortunately, you guys are accountants, so you're probably pretty good with your money, but it's never a good situation to be in where you don't have the systems and machinery in place in your business to control your lead flow. And then the last 10% is just the price and objection handling and closing the deal.
Instead of what generally generic agencies do, is they try and create broadly appealing content, and it tends not to.
So you're kind of throwing darts at the wall right now. You're guessing. You're guessing what the issue is. And he might not even be educated enough in marketing to know So you're throwing a dart at the wall, hoping that it hits a bullseye. But we already have bullseyes. We already have direct things that we can be hitting, which is bad leads coming in. Referrals are an issue. TikTok was working, but it's not working anymore.
To really connect with the people that you're
And qualification too, not qualified leads.
wanting to work with, it generally doesn't convert very well. So that sounds like what you're seeing at the moment.
Yes.
Do you have an ideal client profile kind of mapped out at the moment? Do you know
Yes.
exactly this? Do you want to tell me?
So they're both touching their face. I would be mirroring. Mirroring is a tactic where you mirror body language. I'm just, so Blaine started mirroring Richard, so you would start mirroring.
Tell me about
Yeah,
that.
sure. So we work predominantly with construction industry businesses. So we've got two practices, one here in the UK and one that we've recently opened in the States.
Okay.
And the one in the States is very new.
Okay, so we've got an ICP, so it's very specific. It's not like broad, just anybody accounting. It's construction businesses. That's great for marketing and for niching and getting creative copy specifically to that niche. And it's B2B. It's not B2C. So the amount of money that they're going to be making, this is a financial tell or a revenue tell. So you can kind of back figure the amount of money that they're charging to a construction company. It's going to be much larger than individual accounting firms.
So we're kind of just trialing that out at the moment, but it's a similar thing, construction businesses, but just in the States. But just on that point, we're also kind of offering a service whereby if people have like tax requirements both in the UK and in the US, we can kind of handle both sides for them. So like we've got people who, like a client we've got at the moment, he's a UK limited company, but he's actually in the process of opening a subsidiary in the States. And we're going to help him with establishing that, handling all of his sort of US tax compliance, as well as his compliance that he's going to have back here as a result of that company in the States.
Right. Okay.
But that probably...
Okay, so that's a huge tell. So they're building a second channel because they're not getting enough revenue and either profit margins through their current channel, which does not make sense at all because construction businesses, I mean, I guess they are going up the ladder. A business that's operating in 2 countries is going to be a pretty large account. So they are going up the ladder, which is good for sales and marketing. But that they're telling me they're building 2 channels, probably because the first channel is not working. And if they build another channel, they're just going to have more overhead and more logistics and operations that they're going to have to do and servicing more clients. And now they're going to be having to do 2 separate things in their business. And both of them are not going to be growing because they're working off of referrals and they're still going to be stuck in the same issue. So that's a huge tell. And, so I would pose that as like, okay, so you're building 2 channels right now, or you're building a second channel for inbound because the first one's not growing at the rate that you want it to be growing, I'm assuming. And they're going to say, yeah. And like, okay, so that's not a channel that's like working right now. You're just literally testing that with a one-off client. So we probably don't want to focus on that right now for the paid ads. So I'm correct. You probably want to service the contracting companies because that's businesses that you've done business with. And I would get them to confirm that like, oh yeah, this channel, because you're competing with that channel. Psychologically, what he's thinking right now is this paid ad system going to work for the construction business clients that we're doing, or do we need to build another pipeline and another offer that is going to bring in more customers through this thing and this acquisition? So you're indirectly competing with that, and you got to shut that down.
I think will be quite difficult to market. The construction accounting might be a bit easier.
Yes. 100%.
Interesting you say that. So if you...
No, so that's a bad reply. I would just say yes. Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be way easier because you already have a book of business. You already have proof that you hire a contractor or you work with construction companies. It's going to be very easy to sell construction companies when you already have business with construction companies. It's really good to have a very specific lane and niche that you're focusing on when you're building a business and trying to grow and scale revenue, especially if you're only doing 2 clients a month. That's kind of so that last line, is like saying it's small, but also positioning that like, yeah, that's not a lot of leads. That's not good. Like you could be doing a lot more there, and I will help you with that.
Just said that 2 years ago, that would have been true. It'd been really difficult to market to that type of person.
Okay.
But because of Meta's algorithm now, it's actually possible to get your targeting down really, really tight to those particular problems.
So what would a person, what?
Okay, so that's good. It's good. I thought he was going to go into technobabble. He didn't. He did say Meta's good, so he understands. Most people know what Meta is. But yeah, so he's piqued curiosity. I like this. This was a good segue. But it was just the opening. The opening is like, absolutely, yes. It's actually, I would say it's, after explaining, like it's way easier to do marketing today in paid ads because of what Meta has changed in their algorithms for paid ads.
A person who had a UK business who wanted to establish one in the States, what attributes would they have that would allow you to niche down in Meta?
Well, that's the right question to ask. And that.
So, okay. We've screwed up here. We should have focused on the construction. So he's interested in building the other pipeline because he didn't shut it down, and it's new, and new pipelines are a lot harder to build than established pipelines. Marketing, like this person, Blaine doesn't know enough about marketing to know that, like, yes, he's focusing on the new acquisition or the new channel that has one current customer and no testimonials and no case studies and no proof that you do what you do. Whereas we need to know how long he's been closing construction companies too. Like, how long have you been closing those leads? If you've got like 5 years of construction business clients, 2 clients per month, that's a huge testimonial and case study roster and a huge flex on your sales process, because when a lead comes in and they're like, yeah, I'm a construction company. How many construction companies have you guys worked with? Well, let me do the math. 5 years, 2 per month for the past 5 years, 24, whatever, 24 times 5, 250 accounts, construction companies, something like that. That the sale is closed. Like, that is the close. So the construction pipeline is going to be way easier marketing and sales wise for the business than the new pipeline that has no customers. But he's trying, like, now we're having a conversation about that. Will needs to not go into the new pipeline and needs to focus on the construction.
That's what we would cover in a sort of strategy deep dive. So we'd look at the profile of the person, what their problems are, what they're going through in particular, and try and model the kind of, it's a bit of a fancy word, but the psychographics. What kinds of things are they going to be thinking about? What's going to draw their attention the most? And then you can, because of Meta's algorithm.
We're getting into technobabble. Okay, so the Meta ads algorithm, we might have a save here.
And the targeting, you can filter out by businesses that they're interested in, what they're kind of going to be spending their time on.
So none of this needs to be explained, and it's just any information. I'm seeing young me doing sales right now. The answer to this is actually a fourth wall break. Well, the way that Meta Ads has changed their campaigns and everything and how the algorithm works is that basically you can just direct target who you're looking for, and they will only see the ad. Case in point, you saw my ad. You guys haven't seen the paid ad that Will ran a paid ad that got this client in this prospecting call, but it was literally the paid ad was like, are you an accounting firm with roughly 10 employees doing blah, blah, blah revenue? I can help you build a paid ads channel. It's like, my ad is the exact proof you came through the process that I build for my clients. And it's like, oh, duh, it worked. Like, yeah, the system I use to get you is the same system I will use to get you clients. That's all you got to say. You're focusing on the pain. You're focusing on their issue. You're not focusing on the technobabble, this is how it works, and psychographics and stuff like that. Maybe if you find out that they're interested in psychology, and maybe Richard has a background in studying the psychology of marketing, then you can say psychographics and stuff like that, and they'll I didn't see any of them perk up, so their face didn't change when you threw out a big word, which means it's a disconnect.
Fine. And as long as you structure the the messaging on that ad correctly, Meta's algorithm will kind of learn who watches the video to completion.
So
So
all sales calls, whenever a person comes through your pipeline, when they hit your marketing, when they start seeing your content, they're going to be like, who is this person? They book a call with you. The entire process from marketing to sales to close to contract and negotiation, all they're doing is like, is this person who they say they are? And can they do what they say they do? That's the only questions you're really answering for the prospects. Now, the questions you're answering that they need to answer is you need to find out if you can actually help them. And that's by asking them a bunch of questions about the business. But the proof, like, does this work? That's what they're asking. That's what they're constantly asking. Does this work? Is this going to work for me? That's it's just repeating in the back of their subconscious, the entire call. When you fourth wall break and say, yeah, the same system I use to get you on this call is the same system I will install in your business to get you clients like a call like this. Boom. Proof confirmed. Hey, real quick, if you're an entrepreneur who's never been professionally trained in sales, I have something for you. I've been doing YouTube for 18 years, 170,000 subscribers, and high ticket sales for 6 years. I built the Entrepreneurial Closers Playbook so you don't have to figure this stuff out alone. It's free, the link's below, and it does basically what you're seeing in this video right now.
that probably sounds really abstract and a bit wooey, but
yes,
basically,
yes,
you make a message that's really personalized to that person, and you run an ad.
We shouldn't even be getting into this conversation, but you need to be specific. Like, don't say to this person. So one of the things I've noticed with Will, as I've been coaching him and advising him on our individual calls, is he keeps it impersonal. He keeps a distance to the person he's talking to. We had a call, and I think I asked him, just for intelligence gathering at the end of the call, I was like, so what have you liked about, what we've been doing so far, or what I've been teaching you on this stuff? And he said something like, he basically made a compliment, but it was like an indirect compliment. It was kind of like at a distance. It's like, oh, I'm really interested in this stuff, instead of saying, oh, I really like that you showed me this. Like, this really hit home for me on this. And it's impersonal. There's less of a personal thing there. And I'm seeing the same thing here in the call. So that wordage of like targeting a person is like, no, when you make an ad, and you literally say construction companies that need accounting, like, be very specific in your communication when you're talking to people in sales.
People who watch that video through to the fullest, most of the time, some people, like, they leave their phone and it runs over, but most of the time, the people who watch that video to the fulfillment, they're going to be your ideal client. And
which is exactly what you did when you came through my marketing pipeline. And now we're on this call.
Over time, the algorithm learns that person and just shows it to people who are interested in that content. AI is doing some amazing things at the moment. And I think you could probably target that niche using.
Don't ever say probably. Don't ever say probably, because you're creating, no, don't ever say probably. Like, this is what you do. You're good at it. It works because you used it to get them on this call. Like, it works. Not probably works. It works. So when you say probably, now it's creating a question of like, oh, is it actually going to work? You're increasing the probability that they're not going to say no. You're making it harder on your close now.
That strategy.
Don't ever say probability.
Interesting, if you could. I think that would be that. I think we've got the most money to be made in that niche.
Okay.
Because it's very complicated.
I would say absolutely. I agree. Here's the issues though with that. One, it's a new channel. You only have one client. In sales and marketing, you just go through the stronger. It's like, if you've been doing business for 5 years with the construction companies and you have like 60 clients that are construction companies, we need to know how many companies, which we don't know, how many construction companies they have on books. But like, a sales call is very easy through the construction pipeline and the construction business. And yeah, you're not going to make as much money there. There is a much higher revenue that you're going to get in that thing. And we can build that as time goes on. But I'm telling you right now, as the marketing specialist, the construction company is an easy sell and easy close, because as soon as somebody jumps on a call and they say, how many construction companies have you worked with? We have 60 on the books right now. The sale is done. Like, if they don't pay you, it's like, it's not because you can't do what you do. Like, you have tons of proof and testimonials and showcase that you service construction companies. So like, yes, I agree with you. So you agree with them, but you redirect. So it's, yes, there is going to be much more money in businesses that do international, because obviously a company that's doing business in 2 countries is going to be a pretty large business, but you're going to have a bunch of issues there because you don't have any proof and case studies and testimonials, and you don't have a book of business, and it's going to make the sales process a lot harder for you. If we're trying to build a system that works for you right now with an established system and, processing that you have, you're already servicing these clients. I'm telling you right now, the construction companies are going to be way better and way easier and way quicker.
And
so you're taking the pain, giving them the solution. Well, you're not telling them a solution, but you're showing them, like, this is doable. Not probably doable, it is doable.
When you're trying to do sort of cross-border taxes, it's very involved, and there's not many people who do it. In fact, I can't think of anyone who does it. I'm sure.
So that's a huge red flag. That's a huge red flag. That's a huge, huge red flag in the marketing, the pipelines, and the sales. So he's looking at this as a blue ocean strategy. It's like, oh yeah, there's nobody doing this, we can make a ton of money. There's a reason that nobody's doing it. There's a reason that you're not seeing ads or other accounting firms marketing this stuff, because there's probably issues you can't yet see, and that's why they're not doing it. It's very, very rare in business that you spot an opportunity that somebody else has not already tried. If it's not, competition is good because it proves that there's demand, and you just build the systems to get a piece of that contract or that pipeline. And then people have objections about that, but it's like, it's very simple to overcome those objections. It's like, well, how many construction companies are in the UK, and like, what's the annual revenue of construction industry? It's like, well, they'll know because they're accountants. It'd be like $400 billion a year in construction, or $40 billion a year in construction. It's like, okay, so how many accounts do you have? It's like, we have 25 construction companies. Okay, so like, how much revenue are you making from that? We're doing like probably $500,000 a year in revenue. Okay, so $500,000 over 40 billion. I think there's probably room to grow. I don't think that's going to be an issue. I don't think that you've tapped the market here.
Or you could go and find someone who does it. But
I actually did that on Will's coaching call. He actually had that objection with me in one of our coaching calls. And I was like, I just did the math, and he's like, oh yeah. So I already used this on Will.
Someone who's actively marketing that service as a package, I think we'd have very little, if any, competition.
Yeah. What?
You have no competition, but you have a ton of unseen problems. There's a ton of unseen issues. There's a reason that nobody's doing it. And let's be real, there's accounting firms that are very bigger than you, that have the money and the capital to test out marketing systems and pipelines like this, and they probably tested it out, and for whatever reason, nobody's marketing that. So personally, as a marketer, I like to market to things that I know will work.
So I'm guessing your income on those clients is a lot better than other services.
As I say,
don't ask like that. Just ask, like, what's your revenue? What are you doing? How many clients do you have? Like, these are business people. They're accountants. They talk money. Like, they talk money all day. Like, especially accountants. Like, it's not, an issue. They're going to know off the top of their head, like, what their P&L is, and their income statements, and the revenue, and their overhead, and their burden, and their labor. Like, they're going to know all that off the top of their head. So, like, don't be afraid to ask them.
So, as I say, well, it's a practice that we've just launched. So it's kind of we've literally just launched it, so I don't know what it's going to be. We've got one client so far.
So they're jumping into a black hole right now. You already don't have a marketing system that's working in the current business and services that you have. You're just going to be exponentially increasing your chance of failure by trying to build a marketing system for a pipeline that you don't even have built yet. You don't say that, but like, this is a very bad direction to take marketing.
Who's we're in negotiations with, but he's an existing client of our UK business who's looking to do something in the States. So it's probably not a good indicator. But it's kind of I just know the complexities that's involved in it, and it would be such a headache for someone that they'll probably just pay the money to have someone deal with it rather than try and figure it all out. It would be almost impossible to figure out. It's that complicated.
Yeah.
And it's the sort of work that your sort of average accountant or, general accountant would probably say, it's out of my depth.
So I still would like this guy's idea. It's a good idea and it should be built and it should be tested, but like that's phase 2. And that's also an upsell. So in the close, I would close the construction pipeline and just like, let's start small. I like to crawl, walk, run. So this is a saying that I learned from a mentor who launched $200 million companies in the S&P 500. And it's one of the best lessons I've learned in business is crawl, walk, run. When you're working with a new business, you guys don't know each other. You don't know how you work together. You don't know the trust. Everybody's, is this going to work? You want to keep the first little, this is relationship building over 60 years. You make a lot more money working with a business for the rest of their lives than just a one-off sale. But you close the construction pipeline and the construction marketing, you get that working. You do a really good job. You service the client. You get them great results. They're really happy with what you're doing. Say, hey, I remember you telling me about that new pipeline you're building in America and trying to do international accounting. Let's talk about that. And then you sell the big ticket. Then it's like, okay, this is going to be, this is a higher paying client. I would like to kind of renegotiate a contract. Right now, Will is signing contracts that are flat rate, which is not the best for marketing. I personally don't like to close or do any kind of marketing services that are flat rates because there's no incentive for you to do better. Like I like marketing contracts where the more revenue I drive you, the more money I make because it incentivizes me to do a better job and get you more clients and revenue because as you grow, I grow. So the next contract and the next negotiation is like $10,000 for this contract. And we're going to take like a 10% cut of revenue. And that incentivizes me to grow your revenue. So, a flat fee. What's the incentive for a marketer to do a really good job and to do as much revenue as possible for you to grow your business? Like I can still do it and then have a flat fee. If cost is an issue for you and you just want to, so you can pull back, especially with an accountant. Sometimes businesses like to know their cost fixed for the quarter. Some businesses are like that, where there's like, we don't like not knowing what our overhead is or what our burden is in our business. So we just want to know for the quarter, this is what it's going to cost us. That's a tell that their profit margins are bad and that their systems aren't good and polished and that they're not making enough profit to like scale. And they also have an incorrect mindset. That's actually a tell that they're not an ideal client because if they're doing this off of price is an issue, it's because their profit margins are an issue and they don't have the flexibility in their profit margins to really grow their business. But that's a mindset issue. That's the way that they're running their business, which is a whole other beast of a thing to like line out and fix. And that's not what Will is doing here. But usually if you juxtapose on that second phase, close of a $10,000 deal with revenue split, you give them two options. Like, yeah, I can do it for you for $15,000 flat monthly, but I prefer to do like a $10,000 retainer with revenue split. And then I grow your revenue. And if they're like, oh yeah, let's do the revenue split because that totally makes sense. It's like they have a good business. They have their profit margins. They know what they're doing. They have the right mindset for growth and scaling, which is good for you. So it's also a disqualification question when it comes to hiring or working, crawl and then run. Crawl, then walk, and the walk is that next phase. And then you're measuring, then you're really getting to know how you work with somebody and how you do business with somebody. And is this a client that you really want to take long-term? And can you grow together? So having a client for 60 years is great. Having a client who doesn't want to grow or doesn't understand the mechanics of growth and doesn't have the right mindset for growth, you will not make as much of business with them as somebody who is growing and knows how to grow and has a growth mindset.
Type thing.
Yeah, they're going to refer that out to someone else. Generally. Yeah. So there's plenty of interesting avenues you could go down with that as well, potentially. Looking at sort of affiliate-based marketing approaching other kind of groups and just raising awareness that it's something that you do and maybe offering some sort of affiliate service to do that. But I think short term, the most interesting thing would probably be Meta ads for you. Would you be?
I don't like that whole that's I mean, I get like, yeah, it could work. Yeah, that wasn't delivered well, because you're basically saying like, you should just hire me, and it's like, they're not bought, they're not sold right now. You can see their body language, so that's like a big pullback. You should, like, that should have been preloaded with, I think as the special marketing specialist, I think the contract or the construction company pipeline is going to be your best bet for paid ads right now, because blah 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 blah. Then, like, yeah, you should totally build that and do the affiliate stuff and try to network and do all that. And you've already built a book of business from referrals. But if we're talking paid ads right now, the best pipeline for you is the construction stuff. So you're saying the same thing, but not in a way that's like, yeah, you should hire me.
Interested in working on the strategies together for that?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I'm interested to hear what you can offer.
Yeah, of course. Well,
so
we typically...
The offer is the system that they came through to get on this call is the exact system that I'm going to implement into your business. Proof and point, it works. That's all. That's all it needs to be.
We do when we work with accountants is we always start with strategy. That's where most marketing campaigns fail. You know, people try and do generic ads for everyone. Your general agencies tend to market accounting wrong, because they don't really understand professional services. You can't sell accounting to someone who doesn't want an accountant, fundamentally. So it's about identifying the opportunities first, which is where we always start. You know, whether it's looking at companies' house data or search data, and just getting an idea.
So we're getting into techno babble and overwhelming them, and we're also you're creating work. So you said that we do a strategy call, or we do strategy, and that's like, oh, I got to do stuff. You don't tell a prospect what they need to do until they sign a contract and pay you. Never tell the clients what you're going to be doing. I mean, you can kind of brief over it. If you're very organized and it's like, week 1, we do this, week 2, we do this, week 3, that looks very professional and that's very organized, but you just kind of skim that, and you also do that at the end of the call.
If you're going to put something out there, make sure that the demand is there first. So we do that.
All right, we got a head nod from Richard.
When it comes to actually building,
we haven't heard anything from Richard, and we're 15 minutes in, 16 minutes in. We need to have Richard talking, and we need to know about Richard. We need to know his background in sales and marketing. There's a lot of loose questions here.
We can help.
Sorry,
you.
can I just ask a question? Because if I let you carry on, I'll forget it.
When
you say make sure the demand's there, how, in my case, would you make sure that we made sure the demand was there?
So it would
go. So don't go into explanation. Don't go into explanation. You go back. You pull back information from the call. So it's like those TikTok ads. Were those construction companies? Were you doing content for construction companies? Is like, okay, what were those clients like? So you just go right back into questioning. It's Socratic method. It's just always question. Never go into explanation, because when you start explaining, you're also losing frame and leadership. It might seem like you're presenting yourself as knowledgeable and you know what you're doing, but what happens at the end of the sales call is you give them all this information that they didn't know because they're not a marketing specialist, and then they're just overwhelmed, and they're like thinking about all kinds of stuff, and they're thinking about the new pipeline that they're building, which with international accounts, and like their brain gets fried, and then the close comes, and they're like, oh, we're gonna have to think about it. And then it's like, well, 1 out of 10, where are you at right now? We're in an 8. Like, okay, so what can I do for you to help me? It's like, and then they don't know because they're so overwhelmed because they're thinking about too many things. So the answer here is you go back to like the TikTok, what kind of content were you making there? Was that targeting construction companies? Okay, so it was working. It was a marketing channel that was working for construction companies. There are other construction companies out there that need accounting. What's your angle? Like, are these construction companies that do their own accounting, or are they using another accountant and they don't like their services, so they work with you? Like, how are you getting the contracts and the new clients with you? So, okay, so like the demand's there. Like, they have a business. They're already doing construction business contracts, and they've already specifically stated that that's their niche and that's what they're doing. The demand is there because you're getting 2 referrals a month, right? You're closing 2 referrals a month. What are we talking about?
Be a case of looking at Google search data first, I would say. What are people searching for? This data is available and accessible. We pay the subscriptions to get direct access to it. So we can look at that. That's one indicator. Generally, there are...
So another issue when you start getting into explanation is they're just going to write this stuff down and be like, why do we need to pay this guy? We can just do it ourselves. You don't ever want to have that situation in a sales call because you're giving away your secret sauce. So like giving away how you get leads and how you build your channels and stuff, like no.
But there are particular forums you can look at and discussions.
I see.
So I call this tire kickers. I'm not saying that they're a tire kicker. I think that they're looking for a marketing agency to handle, because they're already paying a marketing agency. So clearly they're looking for a marketing agency. I don't think that they're doing this, but you will have sales calls where people just constantly ask you questions of like how stuff works and what is this and what do you do that. What they're doing is they're tire kickers and their DIY mindset. They're just looking to pick your brain to get information so that they can go do it themselves. And there's zero chance that you're going to get a close. And that's a bad lead that should be disqualified before they ever get on a sales call, which is why you have the questionnaire and the stuff that you're filtering and you're getting that information as quickly as possible. I don't think that's what they're doing, but that's one of the issues when you get into explanation mode as well.
We use AI to kind of streamline that process. So we can do literally hundreds of searches all around your kind of ideal market. Before
throwing out the word AI, you'd be surprised. I actually like to gauge somebody in their experience with AI. It's like, do they value AI? Like, do you guys use AI in your business? Oh yeah, no, it's awesome. And we do this, and this. And like, okay, cool. Yeah, I use AI too. And if they're like, I don't really like AI, it's, I think it's going to take over the world and Skynet's going to become, whatever business. And it's like, okay, well, we do use AI. I find that it drastically streamlines the process and things that we do, but that's why I'm here. I'll handle the AI stuff. You don't have to. And get AI to kind of interpret that and give you a kind of qualitative data point instead of just, numbers of people searching for XYZ. So there are lots of different routes you can go down, and it depends on the service, frankly.
Okay. Thanks for that.
Of course. So after
yeah,
that,
that's another. Okay. So they're just nodding their head. Like they're completely disengaged right now. And the correct sales process here is to stop the explanation and go back to the pain point and their issues and learning about their business. But what happens is they say, okay, yeah. And the silence is very uncomfortable for people that are not trained in sales, and Will doesn't have a professional background in sales. But the silence causes the explainer to continue explaining, which is a great psychological thing to know when you're the opposite, when you're sitting in the other seat. I love silence as a professional salesman because I'll ask a question and they'll answer, and I'm like, if I want more information, I just sit there. Like, silence is great when you know how to use silence, but when you don't know how to use silence, you don't know how to navigate silence, it's extremely uncomfortable, and it can cause you to continue to go into the explanation spiral. After that first process, obviously, we want to help you script ads, put them together, manage the campaigns, and create any asset. I wouldn't say we help you because that's implying more work. I would say we script the ads and we do the creative and we do all the work. So we've lined this out. I've talked with Will in our advisory calls, but there's 3 types of people that buy things. There's DIYers, which is the door kicker or the tire kickers that just want to ask you a bunch of questions. There's done with you, which is you're coaching them, you're advising them. It's advisory. I'm not doing the labor and the work, but I'm going to tell you how to do the labor and the work and what you need to do. So the question in the beginning of the calls need to be, are you looking to build an in-house marketing system, or are you looking to hire a marketing specialist who knows what they're doing to do this stuff for you? Am I training somebody in your business on how to do marketing, or are you hiring me to do the marketing? So it's DIY, done with you, which is the coaching and advisory, or done for you, I'm doing everything. So that needs to be established very quickly in the sales call, because that changes the entire conversation in the sales call.
Whether that's digital campaigns through SEO or Google Ads, if you want to go down the search route, Meta Ads, helping you script these things, manage the campaigns and allocate the spend correctly. We also have a CRM that we use just for our clients. It's branded with our name.
What CRM do you guys use? You need to be asking, like, what's your CRM process? How do you handle your leads and your inbound and your, if it's all referral, they probably don't even have a CRM. Do they know what a CRM is? That's a sales term and a marketing term. I'm sure they do know what a CRM, because they're accountants and they've been running a business for a while. But you need to know, like, what's your experience with sales CRMs? Like, oh, we had this one. It was freaking complicated. Yeah. I was like, okay, well, we do have to have a system. So I've got a very simple, so you handle the objection, you handle the pain point. It's like, we have a very simple, I know what you mean. I've used the complicated ones that have a billion buttons. I like simplicity. So, but you handle whatever they say with a counterpoint.
And it will help you track everything. So you're not just kind of pouring money into a black box when you're running ads. You make sure that every single lead is attributable to the source, and you know what's converting and what isn't, so you can actually make decisions.
So he's reading his phone. He's disengaged. There is a good thing there that Will did. So accountants love spreadsheets. They love, like, they're accountants. So data, great. It's just, can they read the data? Do they understand the marketing stuff? Do they want to learn the marketing stuff? So if it's a done for you, I'm doing everything for you service, you would say something like, yeah, I use CRMs and I track data and I have databases and everything. I even use Claude Code and I organize all my stuff. Accountants are going to love that. Accountants are going to be, oh yes, that's awesome. I want to work with somebody. So Will was actually a former engineer. So, like, he thinks mechanically and he thinks very similarly. Accountants and engineers are similar in the way that they think and operate. But if it's a done with you system, it's like, yeah, you're going to have all the data. Like, we're going to have a system built for you so you can see exactly what's going on, and I can train your guys to read this stuff and know what's going on and diagnose what the issue is. That directly goes back to the TikTok thing. Do you know why it didn't work on TikTok? It's like, you will know why with this system, because it's clear and you control it, and you have way more control over paid ads than organic content. When you put out a piece of organic, you don't know if it's going to work. But once a paid ad works, it works, and you can just crank the lever or not crank the lever, and you have all the data right there and you can see it. And as accountants, I'm assuming you probably like seeing the data.
End of the day.
Okay.
Silence.
If you want to get started with the strategy, it's £400 for 2 sessions, and I can send you the exact deliverables as well.
Okay, so he just went straight into price. He closed the silence. They're not there. They're not ready to buy at all. And he's doing a low ticket, kind of foot in the door, $400 strategy, but like, the strategy is not going to work unless they have the entire service. So we just need to close the entire service, but we do that by asking all the questions and figuring out and building the rapport to know that, like, proving to them that the system works. Again, that question we're answering here is, who is this person? Can they do what they say they can do? And will this work for me? Will this work for my business? Will this work for my business? This is the only thing that you're focusing on to get them to say yes.
But it'd mostly be 30 to 60 minutes with either yourself
or me. That's good. Putting the time expectation, it's really, really, really great sales and marketing to be like, in 8 weeks, you will have a blah, 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 blah. In 60 minutes, we will have blah, 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 blah. So time, a lot of people make the mistake in marketing, especially in marketing and in sales, is like the workload, the time. Always have like clear deadlines. People love deadlines. People love, in week 1, we're going to do this. In week 2, we're going to do this. In week 3, we're going to do this. And then like we do 1 hour calls and that's it. Like you have 8 hours over the next 2 months to handle this stuff, or does somebody in your team have that? What's your time constraint right now?
You and Richard work on it together. And in between the 2 meetings, we'll get all the data together. And in the second call, we'll start working on positioning and messaging and look at competitors.
Okay. That sounds very interesting. So, what would be the costs after that then? Because presumably there'd be kind of follow-on costs.
Okay, so we are officially in the close and we're 18 minutes in. We still have another 13 minutes of close. This isn't a good ratio. I like closes to be very quick. I mean, a lot of times the way I close, it's just like, yeah, this is what we charge. This is what we do. This is what you get. 1 out of 10, where you at? We got to think about it. Like, okay, well, you got me here on the call right now. I know how to answer all the questions. You guys aren't going to be able to answer them off the call. So what questions do you have? What are you worried about? Like, are you not seeing how this is going to work in your business? So the questions you ask after that is you'll know what their objections are by doing the proper procedure of a sales call and learning about what their actual objections and issues are. But honestly, this could have been closed 10 minutes ago with just the system that I use to get you here is the system I implement into my clients. It works because you're here right now. Again, we're not selling sales. We're not selling closes. We're selling marketing. You're on the call, which is the marketing part.
Yeah, it ranges. Really, it ranges. Our kind of approach is to help you set things up and ideally have someone internally run the kind of day-to-day. So we charge setup fees for doing creative ads.
So we do a done with you service. So this needs to be upfront in the call. This needs to be upfront in the communication, and we need to establish in the very beginning of the sales call. So you'll be a lot of the best salespeople and the people that are really good at what they do, and salespeople making over $250,000 a year, they know what the objections are that they're going to get at the end of the call because they've done so many calls and they know the pipeline and the customer and the ICP that they're talking to, and they know exactly what the objections are going to be. We know that most of these people have hired a marketing agency and it hasn't worked, and that's the issue. Clearly my marketing works because you're here on the call. So a lot of these objections need to be front loaded. The way that you get to the point where you don't have any objections in a sales call and it's just a conversation and it's just like, duh, yeah, this works or it doesn't work. That's the goal to get to for a sales process, is that it's like the only thing that's not working is they're just not a qualified client. And like, you can't find out totally if somebody is a qualified client through the marketing and through the pipeline, but you can definitely filter them tremendously with marketing so that the quality of the leads are much higher. But in the beginning of the sales process, are you looking to do marketing in-house because I can do a done for you service where I do everything for you and I hire somebody and they handle it all for you and you don't have to do anything? Or are you looking to in-house your marketing? I can also do done with you services, which I'm consulting you and coaching you and helping you build the infrastructure, and you're going to have somebody internally doing this stuff. Need to handle that objection or that situation way up in the beginning of the call.
Or creating pages. But after that point, most of your budget will go towards Meta or Google Ads or whatever channel you choose to use. And it depends on how much demand there is out there. How many people are searching dictates, how many keywords you can bid on and how many ads you can get.
Techno battle,
Meta, your total addressable market kind of determines your ad cost.
We're talking marketing terms that they might not know. Maybe Richard does, but we don't know.
Most of your recurring fees going on. but most of our work is in the setup, and it depends on the complexity, really. If that answers that at all.
Yes, it does, but it doesn't. It answers in principle, but doesn't answer the costs.
Yeah. I suppose I can give you a kind of broad cost.
Yeah,
so if
sure.
we were going to go down the meta ads route.
So this is something that we've also lined out in the advisory calls that you're not seeing, is we're getting a very specific price. This is the price. This is what we do. That's it. It works because you're here on the call. But you want to, it's not good to do, it's very hard to build bespoke, because this is what Will's doing right now. He's doing bespoke, and yeah, there is a lot of nuance to marketing and things that they want. But what we need to know is, do you want a done for you service, or do you want a done with you service? And then just everything's tailored to that communication and that conversation. And then all of this question stuff, all these questions, because what Will's trying to figure out right now is what exactly they want. It's not clear. We haven't asked enough questions, and now we're getting this fumbling and issue in the closing where we're talking about price, and it's just uncomfortable. That's not comfortable to be in a situation like this.
Yep.
We charge £1,000 to work on the actual ad creative with you.
Yeah.
That's scripting, reviews, management, and to set up the ad account for you as well.
So another thing here, when it comes to, we just want one price. You can also have a higher ticket thing, like $10,000, $15,000, and you just throw it out as a price anchor. Usually the done for you is like $10,000 to $15,000. We'll do everything for you, but it's going to cost you a lot more. Or we can do a done with you, which is I'm going to coach you and advise you and have somebody in your business actually trained and specialized in this stuff, so that you have somebody internal. That's going to be much more cost effective for you. It's going to be $2,500 or $3,500 or $5,000. But you give them the option of the two, but it's done for you, done with you, as the options. And then, DIY is, like low ticket school communities, which is a whole other conversation that we're not going to get into. But we shouldn't be having this back and forth in the closing section of the call. It should be known and established exactly what they want before getting into pricing.
Okay.
After that point, if there's any creative that needs to be done again, we can run the process again and scope it depending on what's working and is it just a tweak.
They might not even know what creative is too. Like, I mean, he has done TikTok and stuff, so he can kind of probably assume what creative is. But a lot of people don't know. We're doing marketing techno babble.
But after that setup, you're just kind of managing your CRM basically, and that's the only other.
Have you ever used a CRM? Do you know what a CRM is? Do you like CRMs? You got to know that stuff.
After that point.
Okay, so, but what if you set the ad up, we do the £1,000 and it doesn't work?
Here we go. He doesn't have okay. You got to have a quick answer for this one, because that's the burn. That's where it's like, because this is the question. Does this work for me? That's what he's asking. Does this work for me? We can establish it works because you're here, but if you do get this objection, having a guarantee is really, really valuable. So we're lining this out in other advisory calls of Will, but one of the issues, so let me give you the guarantee. The guarantee would be, we're going to work with you for the next 8 weeks. If we don't have blank by week 4 and it's not working, you don't have to pay, and we'll refund you the money. We'll charge you half. So it's $3,000 for the upfront cost. We'll bill you $1,500 right now. We'll get started. We'll get everything moving and working. It's going to take a minute to get the paid ads working. Paid ads take like 2 to 3 months usually to get it polished and actually working. So the delivery time can be an issue. It can be sped up with different things, but people don't like to give out guarantees when their profit margins aren't good enough to give out guarantees. So this is a churn issue. It's churn. It's basically churn in a business. And in sales, it's chargebacks. So my first sales gig, there was a chargeback thing in the life insurance stuff that we were selling. If you went out and sold $30,000 of life insurance, in the terms as the salesperson selling it, the clients had to hold the life insurance term technically for 12 months before your actual sales commission was locked in. Now, no salesperson is going to wait 12 months to get paid. So the life insurance companies would pay you, like, let's say you sell a life insurance policy for $500. They'll pay you immediately. You'll get the $500 immediately, but they're expecting you to be professional and know that you're going to have churn. What a lot of inexperienced salespeople will do is especially if they're naturally good at sales, is they'll get good and they'll start getting sales, and then they'll start making a lot of sales, and they'll do like $10,000, $15,000 months, $20,000, $30,000 months, and then they'll go spend all their money. And if there's a chargeback situation in the terms, now if like 20% of your clients don't pay their life insurance bill, you now owe back $10,000 to the life insurance company, and you don't have that money because you spent it. That's a bad situation to be in as a salesperson and as a business owner selling an offer. And a lot of people have resistance to having a guarantee, but the way you have guarantee is you're good with your money and your profit margins, and you know what your labor costs are, and you organize your finances. I just literally made a video on this where I went to the family business and I explained how we track everything in the family business that's been around for 77 years, down to the penny of the staples in a box. I walked through the entire job management system, the ERP system, which is tracking all of the stuff that goes through the business, all the jobs. My father knows down to the penny what stuff is. And when you know your numbers in your business, giving guarantees is very easy because you know X amount of clients are going to churn and not work. You just refund them the money and you just add it into your burden. You add it into the cost of doing business. So the guarantee is, if it doesn't work by X amount of time and you don't have X amount of results, we're going to refund you the money. And there's your guarantee. That completely diffuses a question like this. This question shouldn't even come up when you preface the conversation with, like, clearly the system works because the same system I used on you is what you're getting.
It's not a case that you'll get it to the point where it works.
Now, the objection that you might get there is then, well, like, they may still say, well, does this work for construction companies and like what we're doing in our niche? And it's like, okay, how big is the construction industry in the UK? $40 billion. How many clients do you have? No. Okay. I think I've never done construction company marketing for accounting, but I'm pretty sure that there's probably construction companies out there that are looking for your services. You're getting 2 referrals a day. There's people out there. You have demand. Like, the demand is there because you're getting referrals. So the demand is there. We need to establish the demand, and we need to establish that the system works. You have demand. People are coming in. The system does work because it works. This works.
It's a case of you effectively try it out and see if it works. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I guess you're asking are there any guarantees?
No, I'm not asking if there's guarantees, but what I guess I'm trying to get to is, say we created an ad and we ran it but didn't get any inquiries. You might say, well, we need to tweak the ad in order to see if we get some inquiries.
So these questions are coming from his past experience at the past marketing agency. Things that you need to ask is, how long have you been working with that marketing agency? How much are they charging you as a retainer or cost? And then that information, like, we put $10,000 into this marketing agency and it's not working. Okay, well, my services are only $3,000. You pay half right now. And if it doesn't work, I refund you the money in the first 2 months. So it's already less than, so just cut the marketing agency that's not working, that you're paying money to. You can test this out and redirect the funds. You've already prefaced that it's going to work by the conversations that we've already had. So by the time, if that objection comes, it shouldn't come. But if it does come, that's how you answer that.
Change your picture, change the scripts, whatever. And then we start getting inquiries. Okay, great. Whether we convert them or whether it, turns into clients, or always something different. But
real quick there, I would like to line that out. And I would say, yeah, just to be clear, I'm a marketing guy. I do marketing services. my job is to get you leads. So you're paying for leads. If you guys can't convert the leads, or you can't do, if like what you're, this is why we need to talk to Richard and learn what Richard's experience is, because you need to establish that you have impact on their business. Like, your service is getting them leads. If they can't close them, they're still not going to pay you, and they're still going to drop you. And they might even argue and say that the leads are bad, but really their sales process is bad. And you don't do sales, but like, you got to establish that. And I would be like, just so we're clear, I do marketing and I'm going to get you leads. I've gotten leads for lots of companies. I have 32 clients right now. Will has 30 or 32 clients right now. I will get you leads, but if you're not converting them, like, we need to talk about your sales process, and you can advise them on the sales process too, if you have that experience and stuff, and improve that system. In fact, AI can improve sales dramatically nowadays. And I used AI to help Will with doing some of this analysis stuff on his sales calls. But AI can actually get a pretty, if somebody has basic sales experience, AI can take them tremendously more advanced. If you want to learn more about that,
guess, ultimately, what if just nothing comes in? Where does that leave us? Would you look to help us adjust it, or is that something we have to kind of go through the same loop again with you? How do you deal with it?
Yeah. Love that question. Because so you flex on the relationship. So you present value, you present your values and principles. So I've already done this on this video, talking about my family business for 77 years, explaining that I value long-term relationships. You watching this as the viewer probably relate to that, or probably value that. We're building a connection, you and me, and you can do the same thing right here. So I would say, yeah, I've got a book of business of 32 clients right now. My oldest client is 18 months long, or 18 months old. I like to do business for a long time. I don't like churning clients. I don't like having to go through constant clients. I want to do business with you for the next 10 years. How long have they been in business? I'm assuming they also like clients that stay with them for a really long time. We are the same. We value the same things. I don't want to just have you pay $3,000 and then we never do business together, because that sucks in business, to like constantly have to be going out and getting new business. It's not fun as a salesperson, as an entrepreneur. But you can that objection can be handled with value and relationship.
Yeah, I think it's not something that happens very often, because we are looking at the data at the end of the day here. So by this point, we've done all of the competitor analysis. Whether ads like these are being run, what's working, what's converting.
So I just got an idea, Will, when you watch this. If we can get them to answer pre-call information of like, who's your ICP? Who's your ideal client? You're an accounting firm. Who do you target? What is the best client that you have? If they have that information and we can get it before the sales call, you can do the strategy analysis with AI. You can just automate that and have your AI do a quick strategy. And then by the time they get on the call, you already have loaded information on this. It's like, yeah, these people are already doing this. The demand's already there. Clearly, they've been running this ad for 2 years. It works. My ad system works because you came in through the system that works that I'm going to give you. Like, yeah, it's there. Like, people are already doing this. You're just not doing it. So if we can get that information before they get on a call, easy close, easy close.
So we start from a very strong position. If things don't work, I will do everything in my power to make this work for you.
I like that.
If that's what you're saying. Yeah.
I like to do business with people for a very long time. Value, throw the value, connect with the value.
I'm not going to disappear high and dry on you.
No, that's fine. It's just more so I just understand. Okay, so and then
another value here is some marketing agencies just want to sell you something and then they go to the next client. So you would ask questions around servicing. So like, what was the other communication level? Like, how good was the communication with the other marketing agency that you hired? Were they talking to you every week or every day, or did you not really hear from them? Were they not doing the work that they said they were doing? Like, what was their delivery time? Did they deliver on schedule? Did they give you deadlines and then they didn't meet them? Like, you gauge the way the competitor did their business, and that gives you information on how they aren't. And then your values are your values. You don't change your values for doing a sales call because that's sleazy, but you are probably not the value of the bad marketing agency. So you can use that as like, you don't want to say I'm not like that, but you show your value and what I just said earlier in this video, to contrast yourself to their past experience and show them that like, that's not how I run my business. It's not how I want to run my business. It sucks to run a business where you're constantly churning clients.
In terms of ad spend, what's your kind of preference around that?
It really depends.
So this needs to be a question up front in the sales call. What do you currently, especially if they're already been doing paid ads, or testing paid ads? Because here's the thing, we know for a fact that they want paid ads, because they've already tested a paid ad system and it didn't work, and now they're talking to you. If they didn't want a paid ad system, they would have said, once the first company didn't work, they would have said, this isn't working, we're not going to try this again, and I don't want to do paid ads anymore. But the fact that we're on this call right now is they want that system. So they want it. You just need to show that it works and show that it's going to work for them. So on paid ads though, if there's any cost that they have to put up front or for a paid ad system, that needs to be handled in the front of the conversation in the intelligence gathering phase of the sales call. It's like, how much money are you putting into paid ads right now? If they're putting in $500 a month, that's not really enough to do paid ads correctly. And that's a disqualification for you to hire them and sign a contract. If they're doing $5,000 a month in paid ads and it's not working, that's a real issue. If they give you a number that's higher than like what it actually cost to get a paid ads working, it's like, wait a minute, you're paying $5,000 a month and it's not working yet. Okay, it should only cost about $2,000 of paid ads a month to get it working within 3 months. And you're flexing authority and expertise, and it's like, yeah, I know that it should work with about $2,000. Now, it obviously varies depending on the industry and the ads and stuff, but like, I'm going to guess accounting, marketing to contractors is probably not a super saturated niche and a very high cost of customer acquisition when it comes to paid ads. I'm going to guess. But every industry is a little bit different. Now, if they didn't have an ICP, that would be a more dangerous conversation, because if they're just doing accounting for anybody and everyone, then they have no ICP, and then you don't have a direct marketing channel and they don't have a direct sales process. But this is an ideal client. This is definitely an ideal client that has an ICP. And when they have an ICP and they've done business with the ICP for quite a while, the cost of customer acquisition should not be, tens of thousands of dollars.
And it depends on your total addressable market. That determines the cost. Basically, if you're looking at a really small market and there's lots of competitors, you're going to have a high ad cost.
So I wouldn't answer with total addressable market and technobabble. They told at the very beginning they have 2 clients coming in a month right now. They would like 4 clients. We only need 2 clients. We only need 2 sales a month for this system to work for them. If if you can't get somebody 2 clients a month in a paid ad system, you shouldn't be doing paid ads. I'm pretty sure 2 clients is an achievable goal for your skill set and what you do. Yeah, I know that you can do that. So you adjust that question with their goal. So how much money do we need to put into paid ads? It's like, okay, well, you want 2 clients. The most expensive I've ever seen on cost of customer acquisition is $700, and it was this industry, and it was this angle and this ICP. The lowest I've ever seen was like $5, and this person was selling this. You're probably going to land somewhere in the middle. I don't think that construction companies looking for accounting is going to be a higher than $750 a year or a month. But if you're looking for 2 clients, if that's all you want per month, once the system's running, it's probably going to land somewhere in those numbers of per client. So you're answering the question, but you're not giving them a direct answer. You're not telling them you're not promising what the cost is because you don't know.
But if it's something that's quite...
Don't promise them the cost of an acquisition. You give them a range of past experience.
Quite niche, and no one's really doing it, then you can get leads for less than 20 quid. The campaign that I ran to book this call with you, I think we were getting bookings for, I think, £15 per booking.
Okay.
So it ranges massively. If you're looking at getting CFO services through Google search ads, I know those are some of the most expensive. You can be paying, potentially £500, £600 a lead, potentially, just
really?
because your cost per click is ginormous.
But that's Google ads, not Meta ads. I see what he's doing. He's trying to compare and contrast himself Meta ads to Google ads, but we're not even talking about Google ads. And Google ads are more expensive than paid ads. But he also needs to explain that, like, CEO, I think he said CEOs, like, it's a much higher marketing demographic, much higher revenue, much higher money. There's more money to be made. So, like, the services that are sold to them are probably $10,000 to $20,000 or $50,000 to a CEO, especially like a high C-suite CEO. So, like, that's not comparable to. We don't know what they're charging revenue wise to their services, like how much money they're making per client. We need to know that stuff, but like the cost of ads is correlated to what you're selling. Like, obviously a paid ad for Amazon widget for $10 is probably not even marketable with a paid ad, but it's going to be like $1 or $2. Marketing to a CEO that makes $300,000 a year is probably going to be more expensive. Whatever your ICP is and their price range, you're going to pay a cost, but it's not going to be unreasonable. If you're worried about it being unreasonable, it wouldn't, like, their paid ads wouldn't be a thing. But paid ads work because they are within the bounds of profit margins.
So it ranges massively, frankly, and it's down to the strategy to determine what's the best move, but we'll work within your budget and within your means. So if we look at this opportunity through Meta and we decide it would just be a bit too expensive to run it, we can look at something else. That's
another guarantee right there, by the way. So once we get the system running, if the numbers show that the cost of customer acquisition is too high for you and it's not profitable for you, we won't run it. We'll refund you the money. Or if it is high and maybe you're not charging enough, maybe we can increase the amount that you're charging these customers. We'd have to work on your offer and your sales process. That's technically a bespoke thing, but they might just be charging too little for the clientele that they're getting. And this can be an issue if you're targeting too low of the ladder. This is why Will is targeting accountant firms that are 10 plus employees and they have a sales lead or a sales director or somebody who does sales. They're more professional. They have more revenue. They have more profit margins probably. And their services are going to be more expensive, which means they're going to have a higher profit margin, which means in paid ads, the more you charge for a exclusive service, more profits you have, which means you can spend more on paid ads. So Will's targeting and marketing, targeting higher profitability accounting firms that make more money per client and more LTV, means higher success rate, higher chance of closing for him, because they can spend more on their ads and their ads can cost more and still work.
That's not an issue. It's about finding something that's going to work within your budget that will fit into the strategy and get you the leads you want at the end of the day.
Got you. Okay. So, but I guess what I'm asking is there a kind of minimum you feel would usually be, the right kind of level to spend with Meta to get a good flow of inquiries?
Oh yeah. I'd say between £500 and £1,000 a month is a good place to shoot to.
Perfect.
Yeah, and you can get consistent inquiries there.
So that statement up there, that needs to be in the front of the call. So you figure out if they're done for you, done with you. You know, an objection is going to be how much do you spend on paid ads. Just so I would open the call with, the basic intro and stuff, and like what, is all the decision makers here, just so we're clear. Are you looking for a done for you service or a done with you service? Technically, that should be lined out in the marketing, and you should just have a pipeline for done for you and done with you. And you should have a question that's like, are you wanting to do this in-house and have your own marketing specialist in your business, or are you wanting to hire somebody? Then you put them into two separate pipelines, two separate book calls, and when they hop in, that question's already answered. And then you get into, just so we're clear, have you had any experience with paid ads? Yes, I've hired agencies before. No, I have not hired agencies. Okay, before we even get started on this call, it's usually around 500 to 1,000 quid per month to run a paid ad. So like just the money that you put into the paid ad system, which is separate from my service fee, is about $1,000 to $1,500 or $500 to get it working for like 3 months. Is that an unreasonable budget for you for paid ads? Because if it is, we don't even need to have this conversation, because it's not going to work for you. And you just put it up front, and then you save an entire sales call. Like that can be stressful to say if you've not done a lot of sales, but after you've done a lot of sales and you've gotten all the way through a sales call, and then you realize that this is a qualification. We're qualifying. You either have the money to put into a paid ad system or you don't. There is no way to handle that objection if they don't have that money. And if you've had 100 sales calls where you get to the very end and then this kind of situation occurs, it gets very tiring very quickly, and you get sick of sales calls. And this is why people don't like doing sales when they don't know this stuff, because they're not doing it in the right sequence, and they get burnt out, and you just have a ton of sales calls that don't convert and don't close. I don't do that. When I know the questions I need to ask in the beginning of my sales calls, and if they aren't answered correctly and they're disqualified, the call is over. Like, hey, I don't think you guys are I don't think you're the right clientele for me. Like, we need $1,000 a month into paid ads. If you guys aren't able to do that, there's no reason for us to have a conversation, because paid ads won't work for you. It saves you a sales call, but it technically saves you one sales call in that moment. It saves you a nightmare headache over months and years of doing sales calls, because you can just close down the call very quickly. Or you ask that in the qualifying questions, and I would ask it in the qualifying questions, and I would even double confirm that in the call. Just double say, like, yeah, just so you're aware, it costs this much, and my service fee is not included in that.
In the last like couple of weeks, I've been running these ads for between £20-30 a day, and booked a lot of calls. So if you want to be busy,
don't be vague, don't be indirect. I've booked blank calls. I've had so many calls this month. Always be like, especially a flex like that, like you're showing the system works. I have blank calls from the system I use that got you here that I'm going to put into your business.
and the demand's there, it's very easy to tap into it.
My issue right now is actually servicing. My issue is actually, you don't have to get into like what your issue is, but it's like, you can be like, how would you like to have the issue of too many leads and you can't process them all? That's where I'm at right now.
Creative and the right strategy.
Okay, no, that's fine. And then would we be looking to do kind of videos similar to yourself? Is that how you would usually approach it? Or again, it
depends.
Yeah, it depends.
Yeah, it depends on the maturity of the market. So if you're in quite a competitive niche,
I don't like depends. I don't like that communication. They want to know, does this work, and is this going to work for them, and do you know what you're talking about? So you say, so you're going to start with something. I'm going to assume you're going to start with what you know works best, and you're going to test different things. I would just say, yeah, we're going to start with that. Like the system that works for me is the very first system that we're going to test. But I have other strategies that I use with paid ads. I don't have to get into them because you'll forget by the end of this call. Again, you don't explain. Don't go into explanation. It's like, yeah, we're going to test the system that works, that is the most common, that works for most people. And then I'm also going to run 2 other tests just to see which one is the most efficient. Not only do I want to test this one that I know works, there might be one that actually works better than this one for you specifically. We won't know that until we run the system, and that's it. That's it.
The
Which I'm
creative.
saying we're not. If anything, I'm more kind of how much demand is going to be there. You know, I think there will be.
You have demand. You have referrals coming in. Demand is not an issue. There are construction companies looking for your services because you already have referrals. Demand is not an issue. There is demand. There is demand.
Demand. I think there is demand. It's just how to find it.
Yeah.
There is demand. There is demand.
You know, there's plenty of companies, tech companies and so on that, you know, are trying to get presence in the States and stuff. It's just where to find them, you know?
Yeah. And what's going to resonate with them, and what are companies doing at the moment to reach them? Those are the questions that I'd work on you with.
We're talking about the new channel that's got one client that nobody does anything in, and it's no competition. Like, yeah, that's a great idea, and we should do that, but that's phase 2. Construction company.
And we could answer most of your other questions confidently after that point. We'll have the data at that point.
All right, no, that sounds good. Well, obviously, let me have a chat with Richard, because obviously he's having some difficulties on this at the moment. But if you don't mind, I'll come back to you. Have I got your email address?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I hate 2 call closes. I do not like 2 call closes. You shouldn't have 2 call closes in ticket prices under $25,000, especially B2B. This could have been a close. This could have easily been a close. So let's see how the scheduling goes. He did a lot of good things. We just need to reorganize the sequence of certain questions and the ways that we're pre-fronting, and there's certain objections that need to be handled and drilled out. For those watching that are watching this for sales training and learning sales, this is exactly what I'm going to do with Will. Is we know all of the objections now. I've already done an analysis on all the objections, and the way that you get graded objections is you just drill them out. It's repetition. It's literally dribbling a basketball, throwing a football, kicking a football. They're UK, and you just sit down and you get hit with the objection, and you just repeat the same thing over and over and over 100 times every single day until it becomes second nature. When you see amazing salespeople, when you watch somebody on social media and they just flow through stuff like without a pause, door-to-door salesmen are great because they get the people that are the best at objection handling have done thousands of closes. And door to door, you're doing hundreds of doors a day. That's why they get so good so quickly, is because it's just lead flow. They have every single door is a lead. Every single door is an opportunity to get better at your objection handling and closing. And by the time you've hit, if somebody door knocks 100 doors a day, I think I've never done door to door sales, but I've known some door to door salespeople. They hit hundreds sometimes if they're really good. In a month, you've got 3,000 at bats. You've thrown the football or kicked the football 3,000 times. They flow so eloquently and cleanly because they've just done it in repetition so many times, and they've heard it so many times. So that's exactly what you got to do to train before you get on sales calls. No, you do one sales call, you see what the objections are, and then you drill the hell out of those objections. And yeah, it's a lot of work and it seems tedious, but your close rate drastically improves and increases. And you only have to drill it for a few weeks, if that, and then it's just in your brain and you can just handle it. And it's there forever too. And if you ever switch jobs or start a new business and you have the same objection or a similar objection, you already know. And that's how really good salespeople are. That's how they do it. It's just repetition.
I'll ping you an email after this anyway.
Yeah,
just so you've got it.
I'll come back to you.
Nope. Scheduling. If you got to reschedule for a call, it's done right now. So you send the booking link right now. What's a good time for you? Let me look at your schedule. So the way that I like to, if it's a phone sale conversation, it's a rule of 2. Yeah, so I've got an opening on Friday or Monday. Which one works better for you? Friday. Okay. I got a 2 p.m. or a 5 p.m. Which one works for you? You always give them 2 options, not 3. 2. Which one works for you? It gives them the option to answer, and it makes it more difficult for them to say no, because you don't want it to say, I've got a Friday open. No. Okay. I got a Thursday open. No. I got a Monday open. No. And let me just get back to you. I'll talk to my partner. Always just give them 2 options. Do it on the call right here. Book or give them the link to the booking and rebook, and let's readjoin. Really, you don't ever do a 2 close call ever, because you're here. Like, you can answer the questions. They're not going to get more clarity in what you do or how you can help them with you not being there. Like, I hate 2 call closes.
You with a decision next week if that works.
Yeah, of course. Does it sound like something that could work for you though? Do you think?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah.
So, better question. 1 out of 10, where you at right now? This gives a very clear delineation of like where they're at. And it's like, okay, so, they say, I'm at a 7 out of 10. Or another great thing to do, if you really want to hit them, especially, is, just for, my review, so I can know if I did a good job here explaining everything. 1 out of 10, where are you at right now? Did I explain everything pretty clearly to you? That kind of puts a pressure on them to be like, they don't want to say that you did a bad job. And they'll say, no, yeah, I'm 6 or 7 right now. Okay. So, you got me here now, right now on the call. I can answer any questions that you have. So like, what isn't clear to you? What would take you a 7, give you a 10 out of 10 here before we get on the call, and then you can talk to your partner. So you still you say that they are going to get off the call and stuff, but you just go right back into objection handling and lining out any objections that they have.
No, it does. I just need to talk it through with the team, and then I'll come back to you. But it does. It sounds good.
Yeah, no, that's good. In particular, though, is it mostly the?
Look at Richard's face right now. That smile. He's not feeling it.
Meta ads that you'd be most interested in at the moment, just from what we said in the conversation there? Or
I think
he doesn't know enough about marketing.
I would be led by you.
Yeah. So we dropped leadership and frame in the conversation when he started taking over.
Quite frankly, I think
so. There's a major fear of leadership here, fear of taking control of the call. Like, you're the expert, Will. Paid ads. You've done them. It works for you. Your system works. You have to come into the conversations and the sales calls knowing. It's not maybe. It's not possibly. I know.
I don't know enough about.
Nobody wants to work with somebody who might be able to help them. Like, name any service or business where it's like, an intern. You can hire an intern, not pay them. Might be able to help you.
That's it. To make a decision. If you tell me this is the way to go, I'm going to go that way. If you tell me Google Ads is the way to go, that's the way I'm going to go, because I don't know any better.
Yeah. You got to take lead, and we still haven't established. It's still not clear whether they want a done for you service or a done with you service. Do they want to hire? Do they have an in-house person that's going to handle this stuff, or do they just want you to do everything? Because if they want you to do everything, they just want to defer the authority. They just want you to be the authority and lead and take care of everything.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
I guess we spoke mostly about the middle opportunity there with the US and UK side.
Yeah.
If we were to look at the other areas as well,
yeah,
other channels might be better. Is that something you'd want to explore too, or are you mostly interested in the US UK side at the moment?
I'm interested in getting this US business off the ground. That's my main priority. So we're signing, as I say, sort of 2 clients a month in our UK practice at the moment. Touch wood, all being well. We'd like to do the same in our US practice, 2 a month. So total, we're taking 4 a month. So I think I would
clarify, is that construction companies, or is that the dual international business accounting?
either work on the construction industry section of the US business or
Okay.
the sort of UK US type, service offering, basically.
I mean, that would be a really interesting. I would be curious because like the creative in Andromeda and Meta Ads right now, if you just made a paid ad, it's like, are you a construction company doing business in the US and UK? It's a very specific, hyper niched paid ad, and as it optimizes, if there's business there and there's nobody doing that, it would work. I would just be curious to fucking test that out. But I would start with the established construction companies in the UK that they already have a book of business with.
Now, I think there'd be most money in the UK US service offering because it's really complicated. Whereas there'll be lots of accountants in the US, as there are in the UK, who can do construction industry work.
Yeah.
It's a bit specialist, but it's, there's plenty of construction accountants around.
So another thing that needs to be known there, they want to target, so they're going up ladder. They're targeting international companies, but what's the revenue of those businesses? Are we targeting $10 million a year construction companies or $100 million a year construction companies? Businesses that are doing international, they're a much larger account. Do you have accounts that size? So the issue with him, the reason that paid ads might not work is because those businesses are so large that they only do business usually through referral. There's a certain ceiling in every industry or business where when you get to a certain revenue number, you're not watching paid ads for your services. You have a lot of money and you have a large network of people that do those services for you, or a friend who knows a friend who does that, and they will work with referral. The reason that paid ads might not even be existing in that industry and in that specific niche is because they're so large that paid ads are not the channel used for marketing those. But he doesn't know that, and he doesn't know enough about marketing to know that.
There's not as many sort of international tax consultants. And if you are, you're talking, the much, much bigger firms that have global offices and so on.
Yeah, and the closing and the conversations and the bureaucracy and the amount of stuff that you have to go through and the people you got to talk to get that account and get that confirmed, it's a much more involved sales process that they might not be equipped for. Like they might not. Richard, have you ever sold accounting to $100 million construction company that's international? Do you have that experience? Because if you don't, you're not just going to have to figure out marketing. You're also going to have to figure out sales. That's why I don't think that's a good channel at all to test out the marketing and services that Will's doing. Get the established business that's already getting referrals. Like people are already coming in, the demand's there, your system works.
So I feel like, and they will charge you a fortune. So, I think we could be a lot more affordable than the bigger firms, because they'd be, for the advice, you'd be 15, 20K or something
So that's the wrong mindset. That's the wrong mindset because these firms don't price off of price. An international company doesn't care. I mean, they care about price, but they care about quality more. Like you especially in accounting, you can't have a cheap accountant in an international company doing bad accounting. And like price is a risk in a business like that because they're going to pay a premium for their accounting and their financial systems because they're very serious about their finances. That's how they're as big as they are. If Blaine tries to underprice and sell lower ticket or lower price to the competitors in that industry, those players might just be like, yeah, no, we don't like price is not our value. Quality is our value. Our books have to be right. Like you cannot fuck up our $100 million accounting or $500 million accounting. Pricing is probably not a top value priority for those businesses.
For all the tax advice around something like this from a big firm, we could probably come in, quite a bit cheaper than that, but at the same time, it would still probably be more profitable than the construction based clients, and then you'd get them on a retainer sort of for the, you probably do a big chunk of upfront planning work and setting things up, which would come with a big one-off cost, and then you get them on a retainer after that to handle all the compliance. So I think it could. That's
a tail right there too. So he's telling what he kind of values. He kind of likes a big upfront and then a low retainer, because it's he as an accountant, it's better to have a large upfront and then a lower monthly on the books, because profit margins are better. So that's a tell that he values profit margins. He's an accountant, so he's going to like profits and profit margins and optimize for profit margins. So it might be a better sell to sell a large upfront to accountants and a lower retainer, because it's better on their profit margins. It's over time, it's more profitable for them.
Be more profitable, but either way, I'd like to. And I guess what I like,
the words that he uses, he's using profit, not revenue, or not like top line or bottom line. He's using very specific words in what he values, and it's an unconscious tell.
And maybe it's just the unknown. But what I like, I guess, about the UK-US service offering is we'll still be dealing with people from.
You can also upfront this too when you start talking about revenue and numbers in the business and past experiences. Do you value profit margins in your business? Do you want like do you prefer a larger upfront cost but a lower monthly retainer so that you can increase your profit margins? Or do you value something else? And you just let them answer, and that gives you information. And that improves your sales process, because then that gives you information on how other accountants think.
UK, because it's people in the UK looking to establish a presence over in the US. I not to say that I don't want to deal with people from the US, because clearly I do. Otherwise, I wouldn't be owning the company out there. But you never know; they might prefer to deal with someone from the US, whereas I'm turning up with a British accent. But that might not be an issue. It may not be. We'll kind of find out. But the plan is to hire an American team out there as quickly as we can, and I think that would be the perfect opportunity for us to then start approaching US clients once we've got a kind of team out there. Because for all intents and purposes, it'd be like a domestic, practice. They wouldn't know any different.
Yeah. No,
obviously they've got a big, buy American type policy. They certainly appear to in the news. So
well, I mean, we're going to be biased against Americans, aren't we? So you'd assume it might swing the other way as well.
Yeah, sure. So but look, I'm open to trying either or. If you told me, look, this other thing ain't going to work, don't waste your time on it, then fine. We'll just go straight with the US construction work. But I think let's just see what the options are and go from there.
I wouldn't go with the US construction. It's a new pipeline, no proof. The UK construction's the best, but he's open to buying. Like he's in the market, and he's in a buying window. Like he's looking for paid ads. He needs a better system than referrals.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, that sounds like a plan. Yeah. So I'll send you an email after this, just with everything that's going to be included in the strategy, how we can get started, and you can speak to Richard. Let me know next week, and we can probably start the week after.
Okay. All right, sounds good.
Awesome. Do you want to book in a call to just
get
something penciled in?
Good.
For the week after next?
Yes.
Have a look. If we said next Friday, I've got, let's say, all right, let me find a time Richard can do, and shoot me an email. I'll shoot you one. We'll get into one, but it's probably best he's here, and I haven't got his diary, and obviously you can't speak.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
All right.
Cheers for your time, Blaine.
All right, thanks, mate.
Okay. I don't know if there might be a second video to this one on the second follow-up call, see how it goes. I don't know if it's already booked or if it's impending, or if they dropped, but okay, let's wrap it up. And here's what I see. Here's the major things that I think need to be improved here. one, reorganizing the questions and having a very clean intelligence gathering phase of questions and qualification in the front end of marketing and before they even book a call. That can all be lined out and organized. That's just organizational step-by-step stuff. But the real issue here is leadership. The personal sales issue is leading. It's leading and not being indirect. And also, Will has a lot of different clients in different areas that he's doing. We're getting very specific on a very specific niche and angle. You know, obviously it's accountants, but it can be even more clean than that, with the qualification questions and making sure that the leads are very similar as they come into the sales calls. When you basically get identical people on the sales call over and over and over, it's always going to be the same conversation. And then the sales process is easy and you know how to rip through it and you know the sequence of questions and the way that you present yourself and how you sell it. And it's all just streamlined. This is why I don't like bespoke stuff in any business that's doing under $25,000 a month in revenue. And especially if you don't have the profit margins, because you get into situations like this where you're trying to like piece together what's going to work for them and what's not, and like maybe this service and I've got this service. And no, it needs to be one package. This is the price. This is what we do. This is what you get. This is the results in X amount of time. That's it. But he's got to lead. He's got to take over the call. He's the one asking questions. He's the one directing people on what to do. Richard, if your mic's not working, turn it on. Richard, I got some questions for you. Here's the questions. Hit the mic button. I want to hear about you. I'm excited to see where Will's at in a year. Even in a few weeks, I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see, because this is not a bad sales call. I mean, they're open. I've seen way worse sales calls than this. I've even consulted way worse sales calls than this. It just needs some polishing. We need polish here. Everything's there. We just have to tweak a few things. So yeah, this video is way longer than I thought it was going to be. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next. Hey, real quick, if you're an entrepreneur who's never been professionally trained in sales, I have something for you. Here's what I've seen over the past 6 years coaching over 1,000 entrepreneurs in various industries. Most of them don't have a marketing problem. They have a solid offer. Their content's working somewhat. People are showing up on the sales calls decently, but nothing's really working like a finely tuned machine, and they can't figure out exactly why. The honest answer is usually pretty simple and blunt. They weren't professionally trained in sales, and they're simultaneously having to figure out marketing and sales at the same time while building a business. And because they're so in the weeds in their business, they can't see the gaps in their systems and where they're failing. Before I started my own business, I already generated over $600,000 in sales and doing high ticket closing. Offers between $3,500 to $30,000. I know how to spot those gaps. I've done thousands of sales calls. So I built the Entrepreneur's Closing Playbook. This is not just a custom ChatGPT. At first, I was just going to write up a handbook on how to do general sales, but then I said, wait a minute. What if I take all of the knowledge out of my Claude code and distill it down to a system that you can put into your AI? And if your AI has information on your business, this will help out tremendously. And it can actually generate you a custom playbook tailored to what your business is and what you do as an entrepreneur. It can look at your sales calls. It can look at your marketing copy and your funnel, and it can diagnose what's going wrong in your business exactly how I did in this video. It was trained off of my knowledge. So the Entrepreneur's Closing Playbook will analyze everything that you give it and identify exactly what's going wrong in your sales process, what's going wrong in your scripts, and how you need to reorganize your sales calls the way I've shown in this video. And it will also give you recommendations on improving your marketing pipeline and getting better qualified leads. It's simultaneously mostly focused on sales, but it's also trained in marketing, which most salespeople aren't trained in marketing. They're just salespeople who are good at sales. An entrepreneur has to be great at both of those. So there's a link in the description. It takes about 20 minutes. And if you have documentation like your ICP, your avatar, a strategic clarity document, or sales call transcripts, this thing will help you out tremendously and basically recreate what I just did in this video for you. So check it out in the link below, and I will see you in the next video.